probably of anybody at the table, Trevor and I have known each other the longest, really. How how did we meet?
We're talking in the 90s.
Dear God, old.
Actually, yeah, in the 90s. I used to work at Tramps Music and Books for a large number of years. And
For those that don't know what Tramps is, because it's strictly a Canadian kind of thing, and a lot of them have gone tits up, right?
yeah.
So what is Tramps?
Tramps, your basic comic book store. You think of, I don't even know if you have any specific like you've got Amazing Stories, which has like everything now.
Yeah, Amazing Stories is kind of like Tramps on
Yeah.
on crack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Basically. Quentin's Collectibles kind of would be closer to what Tramps is
I would think so
here in
too.
town.
Yeah. Quinn's, yeah.
But yeah, music, mostly comics. We started role playing stuff in the day, and Eric used to come in and get all of his geek stuff.
Yeah, I remember you'd have a file. You
Yeah.
know, it's like you'd pick your 3 or 4 titles, you know, and then you'd put that stuff on file. It's like, okay, I'm going to be here on Tuesday and pick it up. 4 Tuesdays later.
Some people are like that. Some, like myself, picked them up every week
I
and
was
read
guilty.
them every week.
No, but that was the day when comics were how much?
$1.25.
Oh my God, and
I remember when they went up to $1.25. I was like, how am I going to afford 40 titles a month?
And Eric back then, young Eric couldn't afford $5 a month to pick up, you know, like Gen 13 and Spawn and stuff like that. Dear God.
Pretty much.
Yeah, now it's just, I'm not going to use the E word because that sounds old, but everything is pricey. So Tramps, role-playing games, how did you get involved? Like, when was that a spark that kind of brought you into D&D?
For myself, I remember, I think it was about 10 or 12 years old. We went into a bookstore, and I saw the cover of the DM's Guide.
Cool.
With
What
this
edition?
huge first edition.
First, yeah.
A huge demon on the front of it. That looks so cool.
Yeah.
I want that for my birthday, Mom.
And
Well,
she's like, no little
she's like
Trevor
looking
Satan's
at it like,
dad.
I don't know. No, we weren't quite hyper religious at the time, so
Yeah.
nah. And she bought it for me, and
Cool.
I got it, and within a few minutes, I realized I gotta read all of this. 'Cause
Nope.
it's the DM's Guide. So I gave it to my brother. And we got the player's handbook together, and then we started playing, and like we started for something that was so big.
Yeah,
Like weekends just disappear.
absolutely.
Like 2, 3 in the morning, just because you want to get through, you want to level up, you want to, and
at that age, you have no clue what you're doing.
no, you just kind of go and
Yeah, it's like, okay, there's a stat block, and even then it was so rudimentary. It was just basic stuff.
Yeah.
Black and white art. You had to really use your imagination. No tech. You know, none of this computer stuff.
not
or
even
no,
your. It was all in the mind
Theater
for
of
the
mind.
first and second edition.
Yeah.
Like we didn't start using maps and stuff until probably third edition.
Remember graph paper?
Oh yeah. I remember all the games where you used to have to draw with your.
Okay, why isn't the map working out? Oh, it was supposed to be 5 squares instead of 3. Okay,
and
good
I went
research.
east instead of west.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. NEWS
Yep.
news.
Mhm.
But absolutely, yeah. I remember first time I was introduced to D&D. Mom and Dad went over to a family member's house, an aunt and uncle, and they were upstairs doing things. Eric, go away. So yeah, really, because it's parent stuff. Back then it was the
pretty much.
80s. So go downstairs and hang out. I went downstairs, not knowing how to turn the TV on, stuff like that. So there's a bookshelf, and I was just looking at these books, and there was the first edition Redbox.
Yeah.
And you pull that out, and there's that amazing Larry Elmore art on it with
beautiful.
the dragon.
Yeah.
Everybody's seen it. Whether you're, a lot of gamers, like that influence has just been done to death. Like Larry Elmore has such influence on the art of D&D, and I was just gone, godsmacked by what I was looking at.
Yeah.
And then you flip that box open, and there's 2 books, with the same art on it. A DMs and a players, and they're literally like paper thin.
Yeah.
A couple sheets which I didn't understand, and the dice. And a crayon. You had to color the numbers in on the dice at the
I
time.
remember I had some of those dice.
Yeah, exactly. I still do.
Yeah.
They're in my dice. I got a
Yeah.
couple. I got a D8 and a D4 in my dice bag, and I was just hooked ever since then. Didn't understand what I was looking at. I can't remember if I asked for it, and they just gave it to me, or I ended up buying it for whoever it was.
Yeah.
It was so long ago. But then you just gone in what was happening. And then, some friends come over and we're playing, no clue what we're doing, but it doesn't matter. You're just having fun, and that's what that's what D&D is all about.
Yeah. You're making it up as you go along.
Absolutely. And that's, house rules, right?
Well, it didn't hurt that the first adventure we ran through, I was playing a wizard. Didn't know what I was doing at all. but I had the disintegrate spell, and we came across a green dragon, and it's like, I'm casting disintegrate, and he's like, okay, well you need a 20. Okay, 20.
Yep.
Nat 20 right off the hop, even before it was called Nat 20. It was just awesome.
Yeah, exactly. No, and those are the memories that we've done. I've taken out a bronze dragon with a lance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it was just horse mounted lance plus 5 or 8 or whatever the heck it was back then. We had no clue, and just did it in. And it was like, yay, encounter finished. Yeah, but that's memories. That's fun. So, why are you here? What do you want to get out of this? The Arcane Table. Like, what's your purpose?
For a long time, this kind of fits a niche for me because for a long time I've been considering starting some type of YouTube channel. I bought a whole bunch of board games and got far too many at my house, but like a lot of people do. And so that's why I have a lot of the figs. And so that also encouraged me to start doing some painting and starting to enjoy that side of things. But the one thing I was actually talking upstairs with Reese about this is with your campaigns, I'm used to playing a lot of role playing, ROLL.
Yeah.
When I play in your campaigns, it's more ROLE.
Yes.
Roll and getting into the character and enjoying the character and going along for the ride, whether it be losing an arm, which I did in one of his characters' campaigns, and he was all worried because I wasn't there when it happened.
It was tragic. But once again, it was dangling, and I approached Trevor. Hey, this happened. It would be amazing if we could lose the arm. And what was the answer?
It was yes.
And the answer was yes.
When you trust your GM, it's easy to just roll with stuff.
Yeah.
And it's going to be different. You got to make some things up, but it's not all about strict, the rule says this, so you can't do it. It's what works best for the story.
Yeah.
And for me, fantasy stories and stuff has been like with me since even before I started D&D.
Some of my favorite moments aren't necessarily the nat 20s or the killing the big beholders and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's those smaller moments between characters and the NPCs or characters where me as a DM could just put the dice down, put the pencils down, and watch two grown men or a group have a moment. Something that's real and yet imaginary. And one of my favorite moments from ever is when your character was in that dirt hill or whatever it was, like it was a tunnel, and there was a dog that had followed you in, and the dog had died, and your character, put that animal to rest in his arms, and it was such a touching moment. It's one of those moments that I'll always remember.
Cool.
And that's why you're here. Yeah. I'm a firm believer in surrounding yourself with good people, and we've been friends for 30 years old.
What that? Yeah.
And we've always had good chemistry, and I want people I can trust, and I want people who I know are going to have the game's role playing best in mind.
Yeah.
And I know 100% gold stamp. You're that, Trevor. Cool. Did you want anything else? Add anything else before we're done here?
The reason I'm here too is it forces me to do more painting and get more of my figs painted, so that I can actually play them outside of role.
Perfect. Well, everybody, I'm trying to include everybody. Once again, this isn't the one-person show. This is a community game that we're trying to develop. Like I said, I've leaned on other players for things, art, characters, crafting. Trevor, I'm leaning on for the minis. So Trevor, for the most part, is going to have an inside scoop on what we're going to be battling once we start getting the main game going, because he's going to be bringing the minis to me. But once again, I trust Trevor wholeheartedly to turn a blind eye to that. Yeah. To not meta the game. He'll know what his character knows and what Trevor knows, and I have no problems with it whatsoever. You're a big part of what we're trying to accomplish here, and I'm glad you're here.
Well, thanks for the invite.
Excellent. Thank you kindly, Trevor.
Yep.
Good symmetry, not symmetry, synergy.
Synergy.
I'm going to edit that.